Hello everyone, it's me, Cinegang Production here, and I'm back with another video, but this time we're doing something a little different. This time we're not gonna do a movie review, instead I want to talk about something that has been on my mind for a while. In this video, I'll be sharing my personal top 5 favorite movies that have low rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but honestly, I think they deserve way more credit than they get. Now, you might be wondering, why am I making a video like this? Well, I'm glad you asked. The truth is, I'm just sick and tired of seeing people blindly relying on Rotten Tomatoes score to judge a movie's worth. It's like the rating became the entire conversation. And if a film has a low score, some people instantly assume it's trash, but that's just not fair. Too often, people shout down meaningful discussion or recommendation with, "That movie sucks! Just look at the Rotten Tomato score!" And that kind of thinking, it's kinda disheartening. It shut down individual taste and it ignores the fact that some truly great films get dismissed just because they didn't score well with critics or the audience. But in my opinion, Rotten Tomato has made too many people dependent on numbers instead of forming their own thought and opinion. It's like we became a prisoner of someone else's perspective. So in this video, I want to flip the script. I'm gonna show you guys my top 5 favorite movies that I actually loved. Movies that were underappreciated, overlooked, or straight up dragged by Rotten Tomatoes, but they still hold a special place in my heart. They might not be critically pleasing or audience pleasing or whatever, but please trust me on this. They're way better than people give them credit for. So let's get into it. So here is my number 5 on my list is Godzilla King of the Monsters, that's directed by Michael Dougherty. I gotta say, I love this movie, and honestly, I never understand why it has only like 42% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the first movie, but King of the Monsters felt like a major improvement. We got way more kaiju action, the monster universe was expanded in a big way, and we finally see the iconic monsters like Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah share the screen with Godzilla. The visuals were stunning, the scale was epic, and the tone had this dark mystique atmosphere that really gave the monster the presence it deserved. Something that the newer entries lack. Now, here what bothers me a lot. The critics didn't seem to like this one, and from what I have seen, one of the main complaints was the lack of human character development or screen time. But that's kind of funny and ironic, isn't it? Because back in 2014, people were mad that we didn't get to see enough of Godzilla, and now in King of the Monsters, we get a ton of monster action, and suddenly it's like, where's the human? Like, seriously, pick a lane. You can't have it both ways. At the end of the day, I think Godzilla King of the Monsters delivered exactly what it promised. A giant monster beating the crap out of each other on a massive scale, and for a movie about Godzilla, that's exactly what I wanted. So number 4 on this list is Tron Legacy, directed by Joseph Kosinski. This one sits at 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. I still remember how badly I wanted to see this movie in IMAX when it came out. I begged my dad to take me, and he told me to please study your multiplication table first. Of course, I completely ignored that because I was too hyped to watch Tron Legacy. Eventually, he gave in, and oh boy, seeing this movie in IMAX was a huge game changer. The experience was wild, immersive, and visually stunning. The world building felt so real, the cinematography was so beautiful, but let's be honest, the soundtrack, that was the real MVP. Daft Punk didn't just compose the music, they told a story through sound. The electronic, funky, yet totally epic score was one of the big reasons why I fell in love with the film. I remember blasting the soundtrack back in 2010 while I was playing with my Hot Wheels trying to recreate the lightning cycles, which by the way is still one of the best sequences in the movie. It was intense, fast, and felt like watching a high-stakes digital sport in another universe. Now, I get it, the story isn't perfect, but I really enjoyed it. Kevin Flynn, not Flynn Rider, my bad, disappears and his son Sam Flynn set out to find him after years of silence. The twist is that Kevin is actually trapped in a virtual world where he created. Super cool, and the villain clue, he's basically like a twisted digital clone of Kevin. Gave off serious Lucifer in a machine vibe, which I thought was a great thematic touch. This movie deserved way more love than it got back then. Thankfully, over the years, it gained a cult following, and people are finally starting to appreciate it. And with the third sequel finally on the way after 15 years, I couldn't be more excited. Tron Legacy was ahead of its time, and it's about time it get the recognition that it deserved. Alright, so taking the number 3 spot on my list is a movie I've been heavily obsessed with since childhood. This one is called Speed Racer, directed by the Wachowski sisters. Yes, the same creator behind the Matrix trilogy. And honestly, I never expected them to be the one behind this movie. It blew my mind then, and it still does now. This movie has a 42% rating on Rotten Tomato, and to this day, I don't know why. As a kid, I was completely hooked. I didn't even care about the plot at first. I was all about the cars, the racing, and the over-the-top action. I used to rewatch the trailer over and over at my dad's workplace, completely mesmerized. I collected all the Speed Racer Hot Wheel cars. I still have some of them, even though my Mach 6 diecast is a little beat up now. But I still probably keep the Mach 5, the Augury, the Mach 4, and the Shooting Star. Sadly, I never got my hands on the Snake Oiler, the Grey Ghost, or the GRX. A lot of my family members used to make fun of me for being so obsessed with this movie. They asked me stuff like, why watch Speed Racer when you could be watching Iron Man or The Dark Knight? But here's the thing. I was a kid, I didn't care about the superhero hype. I wasn't into cape or comic book. I was into cars. Always has been, that was my thing. Now fast forward 17 years since the film came out. I rewatched it recently, and to be honest, the movie still holds up. Sure, the visual might be a bit overwhelming for some, but they're also bold, colorful, and completely unique. The transitions were also wild. You don't see anything like that in most movies. The action is just as intense and creative as I remember. It's like Hot Wheels meet Beyblade with a dash of anime-style storytelling. Michael Giacchino's score is still fire, and the cast absolutely nails it. Every character feels larger than life, but in the best way possible. But here's what really surprised me. The plot aged like fine wine. As a kid, I don't really care about the story. I just want to see some cool cars flipping around on a crazy track. But as I get older, I started to realize what the movie was actually all about. This movie isn't just some typical anime adaptation. The Wachowski sisters built a story with heart and depth, a real anti-corporate message at its core. It's a story of a racer, someone who truly loves racing and cars, and want to be the best for the right reason. But standing in his way is a corrupt businessman named Royalton, who doesn't care about racing as a sport or culture. To him, it's just about money, controls, and manipulation. That hit hard as I got older. It made the story feel real, relevant, and even powerful. Speed Racer isn't just about racing, it's about staying true to your passion in a world trying to sell out your dream. That's why Speed Racer ranks so high on my list. It's not just the wild action, the cars, or the nostalgia. It's the story, the message, and I think it's finally getting the love it always deserved. But you know what sucks is that it never got a sequel. Alright, so coming in at number 2 is a movie that didn't just entertain me. It's made me fall in love with movies, Transformers, directed by Michael Bay. Now I know this one get a lot of heat. Some people say it didn't really save the Transformers franchise or that it just pushed the brand into the mainstream. But honestly, I strongly disagree. If it weren't for this movie, Transformers wouldn't be nearly as relevant as it is today, at least not to the general public. Michael Bay may have been a polarizing figure, but for me, he was the reason why I discovered the whole franchise. This film was my entry point, and to this day, it's still my childhood in a movie form. People love to treat Michael Bay as a punching bag, call him the king of explosion, or say his movies are style and no substance. But here's the thing, with this movie, he took what was basically a toy commercial and gave it heart, stake, and visual innovation. So let's talk about some iconic moments. The arrival to Earth scene that was pure cinematic perfection. Blackout introduction in the opening, that absolutely legendary. The Japanese score, a pure masterpiece. It gave the film emotional and scale and power. This movie didn't just look amazing. It felt huge. It felt like something important was happening. And honestly, it was this. This wasn't just a flashy action flick. It introduced an entire new generation to the Transformers universe. If Michael Bay hadn't directed this movie, I really believe that this franchise would have stayed dead or it became irrelevant. It's just another nostalgic property for the old fan, but instead he brought it to the big screen with scale, energy, and a sense of wonder. He brought billions of new fans, kids like me who had never heard of Optimus Prime or Bumblebee before this. And let's be real, that's something even hardcore Transformers fanboy couldn't pull off. That's why Transformers 2007 is number 2 on my list. Not just because of the action or visual, but because of the impact it had on me and a whole new generation. Alright, so number 1, last but not least, definitely taking the number 1 spot on my list would be Man of Steel, directed by Zack Snyder. Just like Transformers, this movie didn't just entertain me, it changed how I saw the characters. It made me fall in love with Superman. Now, I'll be honest, before Man of Steel, I never cared much for Superman. To me, he always seemed so boring, lame, and honestly kind of superficial. The typical Boy Scout hero, perfect, unrelatable, and not all that interesting. I never connected with him the way I did with other characters. But after watching the Dark Knight trilogy, something changed, and I thought to myself, if superhero movies can be this mature, this grounded, this powerful, then maybe one day we'll get a Superman movie that treats the characters with the same weight and complexity. And then, boom, Man of Steel came along. It felt like the answer to that exact hope. And man, it did not disappoint. Zack Snyder delivered a bold, emotional, and visually stunning version of Superman. The action, incredible. The cinematography, beautiful. And Hans Zimmer's score, pure perfection. That theme still gave me chills, but beyond all that, it was the story that really stuck with me. I honestly don't understand why so many people dislike this movie. Zack Snyder didn't just give us a Superman who could punch through a building. He gave us a Superman who struggled, who searched for identity, and who was torn between two worlds. He gave this character a depth. And yeah, the haters will always find something to nitpick, whether it's the tone, the destruction, or how different it feels from the older version. I heard it all. But for me, I will always share this movie. Man of Steel didn't just make me like Superman, it made me respect him. It was my gateway into Superman's comic, shows, and everything else related to the character. It proved that Superman can be more than just a symbol, he can be human too. So, just like what Michael Bay did with Transformers, Zack Snyder introduced a whole new generation to Superman in a way most fanboys could never imagine. And for that, I will always be grateful. I still hold out hopes that one day, maybe Zack Snyder get to come back and finish his DC story. But even if he doesn't, Man of Steel stands as a proof that Superman can be very powerful, inspiring, and real all at once. Alright, so what did we learn from this list? It's simple. We need to stop relying so much on Rotten Tomatoes and start forming our own opinion. Because if we let a score decide how we feel about a movie, we're not thinking for ourselves. We're just becoming a prisoner of someone else's perspective. Just because a movie has a low rating on Rotten Tomatoes doesn't mean it's bad. Some of these films will age like fine wine, and over time, they build loyal fan base and even a cult following. So, in fact, maybe the real issue isn't just Rotten Tomatoes. Maybe time is the other enemy. Sometimes it takes years for a movie to be truly appreciated. So, next time you see a film with a low score, don't just dismiss it. Watch it, experience it, decide for yourself. My name is Mr. Cinegang Production, and thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really means a lot to me. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, keep watching, keep thinking, and always watch a movie with open mind. Peace out.